Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I am live. I am live on Rumble. And am I live on YouTube? Just checking in, everybody. Wow. I am also live on YouTube. Well, oh, happy day. Oh, happy day when Jesus washed. Oh, yes, he washed. When Jesus washed, washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Hey, Jackie. How you doing, girl? Oh, man. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming in loud and clear for you? Hi, everybody. My name is Philip Ryan Deal, and I am... I don't know what I am. What am I, Jackie? What am I, Jackie? I don't even know what I am. Um, I teach people about stuff. History, religion, philosophy, spirituality, all kinds of stuff. And I decided that I wanted to start a show. I am me. That's right. I am what I am, and I can't be anything other than that. I decided that I wanted to do a show. I used to do a show on TikTok. You remember those days, Jackie, when we used to go live around 8 or 9 o'clock at night on TikTok? Hey, Thomas. What's up, Tom? How you doing tonight? I was just talking about back in the day, back in the TikTok days, that we used to go live around 8 and 9 o'clock at night, maybe 10 o'clock at night. And man, we would have the best fucking conversations, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we have the best conversations? Those conversations lasted for hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours. And I had guests and I had live panel. And we're going to be doing that again. But now we're going to be doing it here on YouTube because, well, fuck TikTok. We don't do TikTok. We've been canceled from TikTok so many times that we are never going back. Never, ever, ever. Everybody, I don't want to waste a lot of time. I want to get to our topic. I want to get to the subject matter of the evening, which is the power of the subconscious mind. I have my notes over here. So I'm going to be reading from some of my notes, and then I'm going to be making commentary on those notes. I will be checking in the comments to see what you guys' responses are. So I decided that I wanted the subconscious mind to be the first topic that I discussed in my new show, because over the past 6 months, maybe even the past year, I have really come to appreciate the power of the subconscious mind. What is the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is part of your mental activity that operates below conscious awareness. It's like the deep waters beneath the surface of an ocean. While your conscious mind is the ship steering and making choices, the subconscious is a vast unseen current guiding, storing, and shaping those choices. Wow. Just take a minute to meditate on that. Take a moment to reflect on that. Have you ever seen the diagram or that picture that they have of the subconscious mind like an iceberg? So, you see the surface of the water and you see some of the iceberg is on top. It's like the ego or the conscious mind. And then beneath the surface of the water, you can see the depth of the iceberg, like how deep the iceberg actually is, how big the iceberg actually is. Hey, Grant. Woo-hoo! Welcome to my new live show. You've seen that picture before, right? Where you have the big iceberg, right? With the subconscious mind being the underneath. Your subconscious mind is extremely powerful. As an example, you might have a lot of likes and dislikes. However, you might not be consciously aware of why you like or dislike any particular thing. Like, as an example, you might say, my favorite color is red. And I would say, wow, I like red too. What made you like red in the first place? What was it about red? What made you love red? Now, what actually triggered that desire for or that attraction to the color red, you might not remember. You might have had like a red truck when you were a little boy, or you might have had a doll if you're a little girl, or if you're a little boy, you might have had a doll, or if you're a little girl, you might have had a truck. It doesn't matter. That all of that doesn't matter. You might have had a doll that had a red dress on it, and there was something about that red dress or something about that shiny red ball that you really, really love to play with. And you might associate things like joy and pleasure and curiosity with the color red because you experienced that so long ago that you don't even remember. So that's why in the very early stages of life, within the first 2 or 3 years, we have already developed preferences and taste for things that we like and things that we don't like based on our experience. The subconscious part of our mind is what holds all of those memories. Let me keep going over here with my notes. Storage of memory and habit. Your subconscious holds memories, beliefs, habits, and experiences, even those you aren't actively thinking about. For example, you don't consciously think about how to tie your shoes or drive a car each time you go to do that activity. Your subconscious mind stores those patterns and runs them automatically. Emotional and symbolic processing. Emotions often live in the subconscious before the conscious mind can name them. Dreams, slips of the tongue, and gut feelings often emerge from subconscious processing. The subconscious mind also speaks in images, in symbols, and in feelings rather than logical words. Let me say that one more time because that is very important when we start talking about spirituality and we start talking about how we can program, influence, and alter our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind speaks in images, in symbols, and in feelings rather than logical words. It's why you might say, I don't like that bitch. You might meet somebody on the street. You have never met them before in your life. There's some random motherfucker that you just came into contact with. Maybe it's a waitress. Maybe it's somebody that waited on you at the mall in a store. But there's something about this bitch right here that I just don't like. What is that? That person is triggering something in you. Triggers, very, very, very importante. Triggers are very important. Understanding triggers is very important, because what could end up happening is this random person that you don't know, they don't have any ill intention towards you. They don't know you. They don't give a fuck about you. However, something in you is triggered. And because you are triggered, the subconscious mind is now telling you that the person you're interacting with is a threat, that they're threatening you. And here you are, feeling anxiety, starting to get mad, starting to get irritated, starting to ask yourself, why is this person talking to me? Why are they interacting with me? Do you feel me? Do you understand what I'm saying? This is very important. Understanding how your subconscious mind affects you moment from moment, hour to hour, day by day, month by month, year by year. How your subconscious mind and you are interacting, the conscious and the subconscious mind are interacting, is very, very important. Because what ends up happening is that you get stuck in behavioral patterns because your subconscious mind is creating those patterns for you. Your relationships are also bound within the subconscious mind. But the idea here is that recognizing how the subconscious mind can play tricks on you is very important, especially when it comes to interactions, okay? Society, let me go just a little bit farther. Society and our culture uses the power of influence through images, symbols, music, and even programming language in order to change the way you perceive your reality, how you talk about reality to yourself. And I'm going to go ahead and go there because we're living in this time where more and more people are becoming vocal about this shit, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. The idea or the concept that one particular group of people are racist, systemically racist, that it is impossible for this group of people not to be racist, is problematic in society. It's a very, very dangerous lie that the woke left and progressives and a lot of liberals have been pushing for a very, very, very long time. I tell you, one of my best friends is a black man. And I mean, me and my black friends, we have like really real conversations, like not bullshit conversations, like real conversations about the world and life, okay? And I tell you, if you really believe that all white people are racists and that all white people are prejudiced against you and all white people have it out for you, their only goal is to make your life miserable and hold you back and keep you down and oppress you, every white face that you see when you come into contact with a white person is going to be aggressive to you. You might see somebody, a white person, at the gas station. You're black. And you're standing here and you're pumping your gas. And you look over and you see this fucking cracker over here, this white motherfucker over here. He is also pumping his gas. And he's looking at you. And you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck is he looking at? And all of a sudden, what could be happening is that this white woman or white man with what we used to call resting bitch face. You guys remember resting bitch face? It's just somebody who just generally doesn't look happy or mad when they're not emoting. They just kind of like, they just look kind of like a bitch naturally. Could be staring off and looking out in your direction. They might not even be looking at you. However, because you walk around and you've been programmed by society to believe that everybody is after you, if they have a particular kind of complexion, your knee-jerk response is going to be, why is that person looking at me? They must hate me. They must dislike me. They must be racist. And so the subconscious mind can be programmed by our society, by the YouTube videos that you watch, by the Rumble videos that you watch, by the tweets that you read, by the people you hang out with, by the music you listen to, the books that you read, the people that you interact with when you go to college, when you go to school, or when you go to high school. Our society creates our narrative. Our society weaves a narrative, and most people who are not living consciously, who are not awake, who are not present, who haven't taken the red fucking pill, are kind of just going to always be pushed around and navigated by society and going along with everything and never questioning anything. So I just wanted to put that out there as an example, okay, about how your subconscious mind can be programmed, and then the effects that your subconscious mind can actually bring into real life and affect you in a way that you don't know, you don't understand your feelings, okay? And if you're Black or African American and you're watching this show, I want to reaffirm to you, I want to promise you, I want to confirm that not all white people are racist. Not all white people are prejudiced. Not all white people are trying to hold you back and hold you down or harm you in any way, shape, or form. It is time that we recognize that fucking narrative as a lie and as harmful to society and let that shit go. And thankfully, a lot of people are starting to come around to realizing that that fact and that narrative that has been pushed for so long is not true. It's just not true. You have been told that you have resting bitch face. Yeah, you look like a bitch. You look like an angry bitch, Jackie. Angry? Why are you so angry at me, huh? No, you don't. You have a beautiful face. And you don't have resting bitch face. Not at all. That's not you. All right, let's keep going over here. Many decisions you believe you're making consciously are influenced by subconscious conditioning, past experiences, cultural programming, trauma. It shapes your automatic reactions, your fears, your attractions, and your aversions. We just talked about that. Biological and automatic functions. Breathing, heartbeat regulation, and body repair processes are directed subconsciously. It also controls reflexes and muscle memory. You know, sometimes we all experience trauma. And when we experience trauma, it makes us susceptible to reacting or overreacting in some kind of way when we don't mean to react or overreact. Like, as an example, this is a personal memory, but I remember when I was younger. Am I freezing for you guys, or are you guys having any issues with me? I'm actually going to turn off the Wi-Fi on my other phone. Am I coming through clear? My stream for you guys? Am I freezing, or are we good? Okay. When I was younger, I was exposed to an abusive person. And one of the things, okay, well, hopefully that won't happen again. We're using StreamYard to broadcast ourselves. So hopefully everything will be fine. I had somebody that was a perpetrator in my life, an older man. And when I would drive in the car with him, I would sit in the front seat passenger side, and he would be driving, and he would take his hand and he would grab a hold of my thigh. He would grab a hold of my leg, my thigh, my inner thigh. I'm sorry. If this is triggering, if I am unfiltered. I don't censor myself. So trigger warning. If you're easily triggered by shit, then maybe my show is not for you. Maybe you don't need to be watching it. But what this guy would do is he would grab my leg, grab the inside of my thigh and squeeze it. And then the next thing he would do the reach around and start trying to dig into my crotch to feel around. Okay. That was a pervert. That was a pedophile. That was somebody that was a perpetrator and an abuser in my early childhood. I'm talking about 12, 13 years old. Okay. So that the experience of sitting in a car in the passenger side and somebody grabbing my thigh or my leg, for me, was a trigger in the physical body, because my physical body associated that position, that situation, and being touched in a particular way as being danger. Well, years and years and years later, I'm talking about when I'm like 18, 19 years old, I was in the car with my partner, Josh, my husband, well, my ex-husband, and we were driving down the road, and he lovingly takes his hand and puts it on my inner thigh. And when he did, I was looking out the window. I was not expecting that, right? I just wasn't expecting it. I didn't see him reach for me. All I could feel was this hand touch me in my high inner thigh, and I jumped. I literally jumped. I had a visceral response, a knee-jerk response to this physical touch. And he pulled away, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that." And I was like, no, you don't understand. No, you're fine. So I took his hand and I put it back on my leg, and I was like, "You're good. You're fine." But my heart rate went up. I almost felt like I burst into a cold sweat, like I had a reaction of fear and a reaction of anxiety from that touch. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And so I eventually had to explain to him later on what happened, because it took me a minute to readjust myself to the situation and think about it. I had to think about it. I had to meditate on it and ask myself, what the fuck was that? Why did that happen? And then when I had the memory of the original perpetration, the original trauma, then I said, oh man, we got to talk about that later, but I don't want to talk about it right now. So that's an example of, like, when you have a partner, sometimes relationships that they've been in the past that could have been abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, mentally abusive, that if you're in a relationship with someone who has experienced trauma in past relationships, you have to understand that when that person gets triggered in some kind of way, it's not your fault. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel traumatized. If that person is experiencing a thing, let them experience whatever it is that they need to experience, and reaffirm to them when they talk to you about it that you love them, you care about them, you care about their well-being. And excuse me. And sometimes traumas just surface in relationships. And for people who have been physically beat or have been sexually assaulted, those things are very, 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 those are the worst. But the subconscious mind controls that, okay? So from the spiritual and the mystical view, in traditions like voodoo, hoodoo, mysticism, the subconscious is sometimes seen as the gateway to the spirit and the ancestors because it bypasses rational filters and speaks in the language of dream, vision, and trance. It's the place where prayers, rituals, and symbols take root, reshaping reality through belief and repetition. The subconscious is the hidden operating system of the mind, quietly running your life, shaping your personality, and acting as the bridge between body, soul, and spirit. Ooh, that's a lot of shit. What I just said is a lot of shit. So we kind of like need to talk about that for a second. We need to kind of break that down. Let's break it down. So I have a personal view and I have a personal belief, okay? Science has already proven that intergenerational trauma is a real thing. We could talk about that on another night. But the idea or the concept is if your grandfather or your grandmother went through a particular kind of trauma, and your mother and your father went through a particular kind of trauma, more than likely you are also in some way, shape, or form traumatized by situations that happened intergenerationally. It's called intergenerational trauma. It's a real thing. And so, in a certain way, I consider that to be ancestral memory. Ancestral memory. Let me jump on my soapbox really quick and tell you that your DNA is a chain. It is a link that binds you to every single person who ever came before you, all the way back to the creation of the world, all the way back to the womb of God. Why? Because God is the first ancestor. In my cosmology and in my worldview, God gave birth to existence, reality, the universe. God gave birth to us, which is why we can say that we really are God's children. We are children of God. All of us. Okay? Some of us are good children. Some of us are bad children. Some of us are troublemakers. But we're still all children of God because we are all born from the womb of the supreme, divine Mother, Father, God, however you want to describe that in your ethnicity, religious tradition, whatever. But our ancestors and us are linked. We share a code. And it is my opinion that when you start practicing spirituality and when you start engaging in spiritual things, that code gets activated. It's your ancestral codes that become activated. And religion and spirituality are very important because they speak in myth and symbol and is meant to invoke a particular emotional space, place. See, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and give you an example. I go to church on Sundays. I go to church. And the reason why I go to church is because I like going to church. I enjoy the experience of going and sitting in a pew in a communal environment to sing songs, have prayers prayed over me in the congregation, and to listen to the pastor get up and give a word of encouragement, building up people's faith and reminding us of the way we're supposed to live our life. I like it. I am a church person. But in order to enjoy the experience of going to church, I have to turn off my conscious mind. I have to step out of the cynicism, scientific, I am a history buff. I've been studying comparative religions my entire life. So in order for me to enjoy the experience of just being in church, okay, and oh, happy day, all that, I have to turn off the conscious mind because the conscious mind acts as a barrier for me to enjoying the actual experience of being present in the energy. But not every single church experience will do that for me. If I go to a Catholic church and I sit in the Catholic church, I don't feel shit. There is nothing coming through for me. I am not inspired. I don't have the emotional, visceral response to worship in a Catholic church like I do in a Black church. Not the same response. Not at all. So, in order for me to feel good about going to worship on Sunday, I have to be triggered. My internal ancestors are going to be triggered by a particular kind of ceremony, a particular kind of ritual, a particular kind of worship, delivered from a particular kind of person using the symbols and the songs that are going to speak to and sing to my soul and feed and nurture my soul. Do you understand? I feel the same way when I'm at a Haitian voodoo fete. I feel the same way when I'm in the middle of, let's say, a shamanistic experience. My way of worship is ecstatic. I am a mystic. I am a mystical person. And in order for me to get something out of the experience, to feel the connection between me and the Holy Ghost, or me and God, there has to be something that is very, 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 I'm a very physical person. So understanding that about myself is a key for me understanding what kind of symbols and rituals I need to do in order to trigger the mechanisms that I want to trigger. So, y'all feel me? Y'all understand what I'm talking about? This is important for anybody who's interested in spirituality and anybody who's interested in making spiritual progress or understanding themselves or having a deeper relationship with the divine. Stop performing ceremonies and rituals that you don't fucking believe in. Why would you do something if you don't believe it? I'm gonna let you think about that for a second. And I'm gonna, and let's get really fucking clear about this shit. Let's say I say to myself consciously, I believe this to be true. I think this is true. I've come to the determination that what it is I'm doing is true and real. Bitch. Because if your subconscious mind is not with it, the ritual ceremony is not going to do what you want it to do. Whenever you're practicing any kind of spirituality, whenever you're practicing any kind of religion, whenever you're practicing your own prayer, your own meditation, your own praise poetry, singing your own spirituals and gospel music, whatever it is that you're into, okay? If your subconscious mind ain't buying it, then ain't gonna do nothing for you. You are not going to benefit out of the practice because it is not hitting that spot. Deep, 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 deep down inside, down in your ovaries, down in your balls. So that's why, it's very important for you guys to sit down and do this exercise that I tell people to do. And I swear to God, I'm going to tell y'all how to do this motherfucking exercise in every single one of my lives because it is 100% true. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a line down the piece of paper. And on one side, I want you to write down, what do I believe? And on the other side, I want you to write down, what is my morality, my ethics, and my standards? And I want you to write down under the column of what do I believe? The only thing you're allowed to put down are the things that you actually believe in. For real. The ones you're willing to die for. And when you do that, you might realize that that list is very, very, very small. You might realize that that list only consists of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 things. I believe in God. Amen. I believe in my ancestors. Amen. I believe in, I don't know, the afterlife. You might come to the conclusion that you only really believe in a few things. Not everything the Catholic Church teaches. Not everything Ifa teaches. Not everything the Buddha teaches. You might say, you know what? I think that this is what I actually believe. And you will be surprised how much you actually don't believe in. Okay? On the other side of the piece of paper, when you're writing down your morality, your ethics, okay, you're going to write down and get as detailed as possible about what you believe is right and wrong. You want to be as specific as you can be. And I tell you, by the time you finish writing this document, by the time you have this piece of paper finished, that is your religion. That, what's on the fucking piece of paper, that's what's on your, that is your religion. That is your religion. Not Catholicism, not Ifa, not Buddhism, not Hinduism, not yoga, okay? Not Islam. What you wrote down is your religion. Bring it home. After you do that exercise, you're going to feel ridiculously liberated, because I'm giving you permission right now to go ahead and let go of all of the shit you don't actually believe in. You don't have to do it if you don't believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you don't have to do it. It's not helping you to try to engage in rituals and ceremonies and religions and cults if you actually don't believe the shit that these people say. You feel me? Do you understand what I'm saying? It is crucial to your spiritual evolution to understand what you believe to be true. Now, the reason why I say this is important is because we're trying to find congruency between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. We're trying to make a bridge. We're trying to decrease the gap, okay? So that the way I'm consciously living my life is in harmony with what my I would say, not my true self, because your subconscious mind and your conscious mind together are yourself, but so that I'm not getting triggered anymore. So I'm not repeating the same patterns, the negative patterns anymore. So I'm not putting myself in the same toxic situations over and over again. So I'm not self-sabotaging. Do you feel me? Do you understand? We need to talk about the power of the subconscious mind. This is part 2. Part 2 of our lecture tonight is talking about the power of the subconscious mind. And now we need to talk about, how do we know when we're experiencing problems in the subconscious mind? How do we know when we're experiencing issues? Repetitive negative patterns, constantly attracting the same kinds of toxic relationships, bad jobs, or harmful situations, even when you consciously know better, or feeling stuck in cycles you can't explain. Fuck you. That's all I have to say. That is all I have to say, is fuck you. Isn't that life? That's my life. I don't know about you, but that's my fucking life. Let me read that again. I got to read that again. How do you know that something is going afoul in your subconscious mind? Well, you could be consistently attracting the same kind of toxic relationships, bad jobs, or harmful situations, even when you consciously know better. that those things are bad, that those things are wrong for you, and feeling stuck in cycles that you can't explain. Unresolved trauma shows up in nightmares, in flashbacks, or dreams with reoccurring painful themes. Strong irrational fears, phobias that don't match your current reality, and overreactions, anger, sadness, panic that feel bigger than the actual situation. Mental and emotional signs, intrusive thoughts, or compulsive behaviors, self-sabotage, procrastination, quitting before success happens, undermining your own goals, and low self-worth rooted in old conditioning. I'm not good enough. People don't like me. We're going to stop there, and we're gonna dive balls deep into what we just said. Hey, what's up, Wobbin? How you doing, Wobbin? You made it. Welcome to the new show. This is the new show. This is the new Philip Ryan Deal show. The Brew Orion show. Tonight we're talking about the subconscious mind. So instead of going too deep into constantly attracting the same kind of toxic relationships, because we're not going to talk about that's just a little too triggering for me tonight. I'm not interested in talking about toxic relationships. Okay, we're going to bypass talking about toxic relationships, and we're going to save that shit for another night, and we're going to go directly into unresolved trauma in the subconscious mind manifesting itself. It is very important. Now we're getting into the spiritual thing. If you are in this live, or you come across this live because you're interested in spiritual development, because you're interested in spiritual growth, because you're trying to get somewhere in your spiritual practice. It doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian mystic, it doesn't matter if you're a spiritualist, it doesn't matter if you are an Orisha person or a witch. Your spirit, whatever your spiritual path is, doesn't fucking matter to me. Your spiritual path doesn't fucking matter. What you do don't mean shit to anybody else. Let me say that again for all the cocksuckers in the back that need to hear it again. What you actually practice doesn't mean shit to me, and it don't mean shit to anybody else. Nobody cares that you're Christian. You're Christian, good for you. Good for you, buddy. I hope that's working for you. You're a witch, or you're some other kind of person practicing some other 4-dimensional, 8-dimensional kind of spirituality. I don't give a fuck. What you actually practice doesn't matter. Let me elaborate on that for a second, because what I just said was highly inflammatory, and I want to give people some context, okay? All religions are culture. Religions are cultures. Religions are manifestations of culture, not the other way around. Religion doesn't create a culture. Cultures create religions. Why? Because the people are the religion, and the religion are the people, and they are inseparable from one another. It is my opinion that people should look to their ancestors first when it comes to their spiritual practices. I'm not saying if you're white, you can't be a Buddhist. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not trying to tell people what they can and cannot do. Not at all. What I'm saying is if you're new here and you're new to the spiritual path and you're trying to figure out who you are and you're trying to figure out which spirituality is going to be best suited for you and your disposition, the first thing you should do is do a deep dive and exploration of your own cultural practices and explore your own ancestral practices. We all got a lot of ancestors, millions and millions and millions of ancestors. Some of your ancestors were Christian, some of your ancestors were pagans. So regardless of whether you want to go down a Judeo-Christian or indeed Muslim line of thinking, or whether you want to go into some kind of pre-Christian or pre-Islamic or maybe African traditional religion, doesn't matter. But you should start there. You should start with your ancestors first. And if you feel that the religion of your ancestors or the spirituality of your ancestors are not enough for you or are not doing it for you, then reach outside of that. But a lot of people grow up in church and they decide, you know what? Fuck this Christian shit. I don't like it. It's, you know, I don't believe in this stuff. I believe women have a right to choose what to do with their own body. I don't think that gay people are bad and going to hell because they love people of the same gender. So people will leave the church because they don't find it to be scientifically accurate. It's a big, hard pill to swallow. And so they go start practicing all this other shit. And then they end up on witch talk, and then they're all witches. I can't tell you the amount of women who told me over a 5-year period of time that they had a spiritual awakening during COVID. I tell you what, the whole COVID situation that happened with everybody being locked down and forced to stay home, the social and cultural effects of that fuckery, we will never know in our lifetime the effects that that pandemic did to all of civilization and all of society. But what I do know is that lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of women had spiritual awakenings or epiphanies during that process. It is a real phenomenon that I experienced based on talking to hundreds of women. Maybe 1,000 of their experience of the crisis, of their experience of the pandemic was really, really, really big. They woke up and said, fuck, I hate my marriage and I hate my husband and I do not like being mother. Fuck these kids. Like, okay, the situation that we're in right now culturally, like this divide between men and women and this like, oh, we that like the trad wives and then like all of the people who are like, you know, I don't know, all of this stuff, that's all COVID. COVID did that. Or COVID expedited the situation. COVID like threw fire on top of threw gasoline on top of a fire that was already burning on a very, very low, at a low level. The whole COVID experience just was like gasoline being thrown on like a match. And so here we are. And the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that most people, when they react out of proportion to the actual problem. Like instead of saying, you know what, I hate being a Catholic, let me see what Methodists believe. Let me see what Baptists believe. Let me see what the Unitarian Church has to say. It's no, fuck Catholicism, now I'm a witch. A true story, no lie. I'm not lying. Now, see, I was a witch for a very, very, very long time. Like, I was born a witch. There are some people who are just witchy. There are some men that are born to be witches, and that happens to be me. But let's just talk about, let's get back to the whole situation. What the hell am I talking about? What was the point of all of that? What was the point of this conversation? How did I get off on that fucking tangent? If you're interested in developing your spirituality and becoming a more spiritual person, the first thing you need to do is write down that document I told you about what you actually believe and what your core ethics and morality are. Second thing you need to do is you need to examine your ancestors, find out where your ancestors come from, find out what your ancestors believe, and start an ancestor communication process. Because when you open yourself up to ancestral communication, you're opening yourself up to yourself. Why? Because you are your ancestors, stupid. You are your ancestors, stupid. You are your ancestors. Your ancestors are you. So when you take a glass of water and you put a metal crucifix in it and you put it on the shelf and you put out a rosary and you put out like a Bible or the collection of selected prayers, or you put out statues of Native Americans or of African people or of other of Europeans or whatever, and you create an ancestor shrine, you put out pictures of your dead loved ones on your shrine. When you stand in front of that shrine and you invoke that shrine, you invoke the energy of that shrine, you open a portal spiritually with that shrine, you're opening yourself up to yourself. Of course, there's a spiritual component to it. Of course, we believe in spirits. I believe in spirits. I believe that spirits are energy consciousness. They have energy bodies and they are conscious. And we can call on those energy consciousness and they can come to us. So I believe in spirits as being real forces, real people. They're people that don't have physical bodies. That's my opinion. Okay? So it's not like you're not actually reaching out to communicate with real ancestral spirits, real ancestral energies and forces, but you are opening up the line of communication in your mind. And talking about altars, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, whenever someone comes to these alternative forms of spirituality, whatever it is, subconsciously, when people are entering into, let's say, a pagan religion or a neo-pagan religion or witchcraft or Wicca or voodoo or Santeria or Orisha, usually somebody is going to be attracted to a particular image of God. Hecate, Oshun, the Morrigan, Lilith. Or for me, from the very, very, very beginning, it was the horned one, the horned god of the witches, the ancient warrior, shaman, priest of the ancient European peoples. That is who I was attracted to. Cernunnos, Hern, Pan, Legba, all of these horned entities in ancient history were the ones that attracted me. And I tell you, when you take an image of God, Ganesha, Kali, Shiva, and you put it on an altar and you give it a glass of wine, or you give it a shot of liquor, or you put water in front of it, or you light incense, okay? And you sit in front of it and you say a mantra or you say a prayer, okay, using the name of this entity, invoking this name of the entity, you are subconsciously trying to invoke that force in you. The gods that you are attracted to are the energies, they are the images of the energy that you are trying to invoke in you. That doesn't mean that Hecate is not a real spirit. That does not mean that Ganesha is not a real spirit. That does not mean that Oshun is not a real spirit. They all are. But we idolize these images of God. And it's very telling when you go to someone's house and you look at the shrines that they have, or their altars and how their altars are set up. The focal point of the altar or the shrine statue, that is the energy that that person is trying to invoke in the, they find resonance with this image. And guess what, bitches? That is a subconscious act. People do that unconsciously. And that's the truth. 100%. So when I'm a spiritualist and I'm doing tarot readings and oracle card readings and I'm doing spiritual consultations, one of the first questions I ask, not because I'm a scam artist, okay? Not because I'm a scammer. One of the first questions I ask is, do you have a spiritual practice? Are you already practicing some form of spirituality? Or are you looking for some kind of spirituality? A lot of people that come to me to get readings and consultations, spiritual consultations, or to get coaching, say, I already have a spiritual practice. And I always say, well, do you have an altar? Oh, yes, I have an altar. Okay, so do you work with any spirits? Do you work with any divinities or any gods and goddesses? Okay. And if that person does work with spirits and that person does work with entities, okay, gods and goddesses or whatever, when they tell me who their patrons are, then I automatically kind of have a deeper understanding about how that person views themselves in a deep way, in an unconscious way. And when I tell you that it is almost 100% spot on accurate every single time, I ain't even lying. So it's important what kind of symbols you use in your magic. It's important what kind of language you use when you do your invocations and say your prayers. You want to be really careful with your mouth. You want to be really careful with your speech. You want to be very careful. I'm not saying this is in a gatekeeping way, and I'm not saying this in a fear-mongering way. I'm not telling you to be afraid of symbols or afraid of images of God or afraid of praying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is really sit down and think about exactly how you're going to write your prayers. Think exactly about, think deeply about the images that you want to use, the icons that you want to use, and the symbols you want to use, because they are important. The next thing that is very, very important is paying attention to your dreams. The number one way to really, can you guys still see me? Can you still hear me? Are we good? Like as far as nothing's freezing? Just want to make sure that we're doing good. Hold on, I'm taking a breather for a second. Thanks, Jackie. I just want to make sure that we're good. I want to talk about the number one way, the number one portal that is utilized in spirituality to get into contact with that subconscious world. Okay? Dreams. Dreams are very, very, very important. I just want to clean up and touch on the last point, because the second section, we've got 3 sections tonight. I'm finishing up the second section, which is talking about how to diagnose whether or not you're experiencing subconscious problems. From a physical and energetic place, psychosomatic illness, body ailments rooted in stress, trauma, and repressed emotions. Psychosomatic. Okay, what does psychosomatic means? It means you go to the doctor and you're complaining about issues that you're having, yet they can't find anything wrong with you. You're having stomach problems, or you're having pain, phantom pain, and they can't figure out what is going on with you. Well, actually, it could be something that's going on in the subconscious mind that is creating some kind of psychosomatic problem. Tension patterns, tight jaw, shoulder pain, stomach knots, kind of like trapped physical anxiety and stress in the body, and also feeling heavy, blocked, or cut off from vitality. Those can be physical and energetic signs of something going on in the subconscious mind that needs to be fixed. And can I just say, a general feeling of dis-ease. If someone is experiencing problems in the subconscious mind, that means that the subconscious mind is going awry, okay? You might just walk around feeling like not okay in general, and that is something that needs to be addressed. Modern society doesn't make that any better because of all the stress we're under. Spiritual and mystical indications, okay? Problems mystically or spiritually. Difficulty connecting in prayer, ritual, or meditation. Feeling like your inner channel is blocked or cut off or clogged in some kind of way. Feeling haunted by unresolved ancestral and personal issues. Symbolic leaks in dreams and divination, spirits or ancestors showing you old wounds that haven't been healed. Working affirmations or rituals not taking root because the subconscious is resisting them. That is some deep shit right there. Let's talk about it for a second. Ooh, oh, my leg. Oh, I actually have to grab my leg and lift it. Oh my God. I literally had to pick up my leg. When we talk about difficulty connecting in prayer, ritual, and meditation, this goes back to something I was saying earlier tonight, which is, if I'm not Catholic and I don't believe in Catholicism, then saying a prayer to a Catholic saint isn't going to do much for me. It's going to feel dry. It's going to feel contrived. It might feel fake. Or it might just feel like, damn, I'm praying to this saint and I'm not getting any kind of response back. Well, that could be an issue. Or let's say you go in to do a ritual and you feel dis-ease about doing some kind of personal ritual or meditation. It could be that you are approaching the ritual or approaching a meditation that is not in alignment with your higher self or your destiny. Does that make sense? Like, as an example, if you grew up during the Satanic Panic, right? and you already feel some kind of way about, let's say, dark magic or destructive magic, then doing some kind of ceremony or ritual involving entities that are chaotic or destructive could feel like a threat and could be bad. Like it could result in like what a bad experience. Okay. Which is why you don't need to work with just anything, and you don't need to just pick any spell that you read out of a book, or do what some witch bitch on TikTok tells you to do. That is how you end up attracting negative energy and creating these energetic attachments to you in the spiritual world. And then working, spell casting, affirmations, or rituals not taking root because the subconscious mind is resisting them. Same thing. The subconscious is like the soil of your inner world. If it's full of weeds, old pain, toxic beliefs, suppressed fears, then no matter how many seeds you plant consciously, the crops won't grow. Problems usually appear when the soil needs cleansing, reconditioning, and healing. So here we go, everybody. We are moving into the third portion of tonight's lecture. Yes, Grant, 100%. We're moving into the third portion of our lecture tonight, which is going to be reprogramming. How to do subconscious cleaning and reprogramming. Psychological, mystical, working the soil of the inner world so that your mind, spirit, and ancestors can work with you and grow freely. Let's talk about it. So the first thing is psychological and everyday techniques. Affirmations paired with emotion, okay? Choosing an affirmation such as, I am okay. We don't just say it, we feel it. The subconscious doesn't respond to dry words, it responds to vivid emotion. Instead of saying, like as an example, if you said something like, I am confident, then you'd want to do it while you're standing up, standing tall, breathing deeply, and imagining yourself as radiating power. There has to be a visual image, there has to be the statement of intent, and there has to be a feeling associated with those words that is going to actually be, that act is going to be powerful enough to penetrate through the conscious mind to stimulate and affect the subconscious mind. Because what did we say at the very beginning of this? What we said at the very beginning of this is that our subconscious mind speaks to us and communicates through images, through symbols, and through emotions. Visualization. The subconscious mind can't tell the difference between vividly imagined experiences and reality. Practice daily visualization of your goals as if they were already true, with full color, sound, and feeling. You know, one of the neuro-linguistic programming techniques, NLP, is called neuro-linguistic programming. I used to be into NLP. I mean, I'm not into it now, but a lot of the techniques and advice that they give you in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is using language, using creative visualization, using symbol, using music in order to help you recondition your mind, or really, really, really activate neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability for the brain to rewire itself. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to heal itself. So there's a lot of techniques used in neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, in order to help somebody recondition themselves. Why would reconditioning your subconscious mind in this way be important? Well, like we said before, your subconscious mind could be the culprit when it comes to underperforming in your job, or underperforming in your life, or continuing to walk into the same unhealthy, negative, toxic relationships. That's why, as I'm thinking of right now, I want to have and attract to myself happy, healthy relationships with happy, healthy, responsible adults. I'm going to say that again. I want to and am creating actively and will have, and I have healthy relationships with other healthy adults based on responsibility and truth, not lies. Like saying these kinds of things and then closing my eyes and imagining the people around me that are my friends: Jackie, Grant, Robin, Sophia, and all the other people. Okay, I got a lot of you out there that I consider to be real friends. Okay, seeing myself surrounded by my friends, even if they're not physically present, but feeling their presence by thinking about them and thinking about them being in the same room with me, is a way for me to activate the subconscious mind and to reprogram the subconscious mind to associate what kind of relationships I want to have and attract those into my life. Journaling, writing down. We're going to talk about shadow work for a second. I don't like the term shadow work. Don't use the term shadow work. I don't like it. Call it journaling. Call it reflection. Okay? Call it meditation. But writing down questions like, what is really preventing me from achieving my goal? Why does that person trigger me so bad? Why do I keep making the same mistake over and over again? So instead of calling it shadow work, which I fucking hate the term shadow work, call it journaling and personal introspection, meditation, and sit down and write. You guys don't understand. Writing is so powerful. It's such a powerful technique to being able to understand who you are, how you process. Like, I write books, right? If you guys want to buy my books, you can go over to Amazon. I'm a self-published author and I am highly successful. I am a successful self-published author. Writing for me and writing books has been such an incredible experience in life, because as I'm writing my books, I'm also studying, researching, learning about the things that I'm interested in, learning about myself, learning about my ancestors, having to process through unconscious fear and resolve trauma, and also resolve other kinds of issues in the subconscious mind. Getting into the spiritual side, the ways that you can really hit up the subconscious mind is by making spiritual baths, cleansing baths, using fresh herbs like basil for peace, rosemary for memory clearing, hyssop, which has been used traditionally for thousands and thousands of years. It's even in the Bible for cleansing away negative energy, bay leaves, and praying, like using the Psalms, if you're into using the Psalms, Psalm 23 or Psalm 51, or even writing prayers of empowerment, okay, and invocation, and speaking your intent over top of the bath that you're making and saying your prayers while you're bathing. Spiritual bathing is so important if you're going to be, for everybody. It doesn't matter if you are into spirituality or not. Really doesn't matter. Everyone would benefit by taking aromatic baths. Your scent, your sense of smell, actually is a very, very powerful way of accessing the subconscious mind. Have you ever walked into a room, somebody was wearing a particular kind of cologne, and you say, "Ah, that reminds me of my grandfather." English leather, okay, Old Bay, right? Some kind of smell. You know, you walk into a room and you smell someone's cologne, and immediately you're like, "Oh, damn, that reminds me of my grandfather." And you're usually going to have feelings associated with a smell. We do that as a technique. We do that strategically. Like, if every single time you burn a stick of Nag Champa incense before you're getting ready to start praying or meditating or doing yoga, okay? Or maybe you like to burn incense when you're studying, or maybe you burn incense when you're getting ready to do some kind of ritual. That, the lighting of the incense and the waving of the incense and you smelling that incense, what it does, if you do it on a regular basis, it automatically sends your brain into a place, a receptive place where you are ready to do a particular kind of work. So like using incense, aromatherapy, essential oils, using colognes, these are ways, these are things that you can use to activate that subconscious mind and to program the subconscious mind. Working with candles. Candle work is my favorite kind of work. I love candles. I like lighting tea lights, putting them out on my shrines and my altars. I like dressing candles with herbs. I like glass candles. I like writing my intention or my petitions on the glass itself with a magic marker. I like using symbols like sigils, initials, or words of empowerment, scripture on my glass candles. Creating sigils and symbols that activate the subconscious mind is important. And even actively using symbols that already have a powerful meaning in your life, like crosses. Crucifixes and crosses, you'll see crucifixes and crosses all over my place. I've got crosses everywhere. I've got crucifixes everywhere. The crucifix and the cross is a very, very powerful symbol. It's a symbol of light. It's a symbol of protection. It's a symbol for the dead, specifically for the dead. Okay, the crossroads. That's what the cross means. In the most ancient sense, the cross represents the crossroads between life and death, the living and the dead. So crosses are very, very powerful symbols to use spiritually, especially if you're a Christian person or you're inclined towards Christianity or some other kind of tradition like voodoo or hoodoo or root work that also uses crosses and crucifixes as representations for communication with the dead. Very, very powerful. And then also making sure that you, before you go to sleep at night, pray and ask for God, your ancestors, or whatever spirits that you work with to communicate with you in your dreams. Like I said earlier, dream work is very important when it comes to sigils are great. Dreams are very, very important for understanding the subconscious mind and the power of the subconscious mind. You can learn a lot about yourself by paying attention to your dreams. I think I'd like to take the time to talk about some dreams that I've had. I have pretty powerful dreams. I've had many, many lucid dreams. My dreams tend to be, when I dream, very robust and full color. I engage with and talk to many different spirits, entities, people, whatever, whether it's my own mind conjuring those out of my imagination or out of the imaginal realm, or whether or not it is a direct connection with spirit, doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. But I went through a dark time in my life where I had quit drinking and I got sober. And I have been sober since October of 2016. I'm coming up on my 9-year anniversary of sobriety. And if aliens don't show up late October, because A1 or 31B Atlas or whatever the fuck it's called is not an alien probe coming to destroy all of us, if we do make it to next year, then I will be celebrating a decade of sobriety. But when I first got sober, what was interesting to me is that for the first 2 years that I was sober, I had a lot of dreams. And there was a lot of shit that needed to be worked out in my dreams. And so before going to bed at night, I would pray. I'd pray for support, spiritual protection, and guidance through my dreams. And then when I'd wake up in the morning, I would have a pad of paper right beside my bed, and I would grab the pad of paper and I would try to write down everything I could remember as soon as I woke up. It's very important to try to remember your dreams. And I would have a reoccurring dream that happened to me for several years. It was very disturbing. I would find myself very, very upset in my dream. And usually my upset would happen when I was communicating with family members. Like I would get into an argument with my father or my mother. My father the most in my dream. And I would end up getting very, very agitated, very, very upset with him. And then I would end up crying in my dream. And I would wake up crying. Have you ever had a dream where you were crying in your dream and when you actually woke up, you were still crying, or you were actually crying? Like you were literally crying while you were asleep and you wake up crying? I used to have dreams like that. People who have suffered from severe trauma have these kinds of dreams. People who have emotional wounds that are very, very, very deep and painful will have these kinds of experiences. Those kinds of things, you don't ignore those things. Whenever you're having nightmares, okay, and you're frequently having the same nightmare over and over and over again, that's something that needs to be addressed, because there's something going on in your life that is traumatizing you, re-traumatizing you, or triggering you, and it's agitating the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is reacting by giving you all of these visual impressions. I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to say who, but I used to be in a relationship with a woman. And when I was in my relationship with this woman, we slept beside each other every single night. I used to have violent nightmares. I dreamed about zombies. I dreamed about war. I dreamed about car accidents. And I dreamed about weapons, people shooting each other, and me being violent in my dreams. I was very, very distressed. And my subconscious mind was telling me that there's danger, okay? When I broke up with that person and we separated and I no longer slept with her every single night, those dreams went away. Those dreams went away. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that telling? I don't know if I was picking up and reacting to her energy, or if I was, because I'm a psychic medium, maybe I was merging, like her dreams and my dreams were merging with one another. But if what was going on inside of her head was what I was picking up on and what I was starting to dream about, God damn, that's all I have to say. God damn. It was a lot. So your subconscious mind has the ability to perceive a lot more than you do consciously, because we can only experience so much consciously. We don't experience everything that's happening around us. We just don't. Our conscious mind only has a certain range. It can only concentrate on so much at one time. But the subconscious mind is constantly picking up on all kinds of things that you don't see. So that's why it's important to pay attention to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is powerful. It is way more powerful than you think it is, because like we said from the very beginning of this video, it will definitely guide and direct you, which is why it's important for you to understand what the subconscious mind is trying to tell you and to align yourself, okay? So that you have congruency between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Because if the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are, I'd say, healthy, okay, healthy in a state of stasis, then you should feel good. You should feel well. When you go to sleep at night, you might have a dreamless sleep where you wake up feeling refreshed. Or you might have pleasant dreams of ancestors or different realms or parallel lives. But I hope that everybody enjoyed this video tonight. This was a great, great, great live. I am feeling tired now. I feel like I have said everything I wanted to say tonight. I expended a lot of energy. And I want to encourage you to come back tomorrow night, because I am going to be going live every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. I'm taking the weekends off. But I have decided that I'm going to continue to be a content creator. And I can only focus on so much. I can really only do so much. I can only have so many things, fires burning at one time, or a certain amount of pots on the stove. So my goal is to have a weekday show for you at 8 p.m. every night during the week to talk to you about a subject that I want to talk about, something I think is important, maybe something that is trending. One of the reasons why I chose the subconscious mind is it's a very important subject I wanted to talk about, but I also saw that the subconscious mind is a topic that is trending right now on YouTube. And obviously a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the subconscious mind and how it works. And of course, I want to contribute to the YouTube community, and I want to share my my views. So at 8 p.m., I am live on YouTube and Rumble. Right now, I am streaming to YouTube and Rumble at the same time from my private studio at StreamYard. And I hope that you guys enjoyed tonight. And if you would like to support this podcast or my ministry, if you would like to support my show, you are more than welcome to send me a Cash App donation or a Venmo donation. to Brujo Ryan, BRUJORYAN. Brujo Ryan is my Cash App and my Venmo, and we will not say no if you want to send a donation to help support this effort, okay? So you guys have a wonderful night and rest, sleep, eat well. Before you go to sleep tonight, make sure you say a prayer asking your ancestors and God to guide and support you and protect you through your dreams. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, remember your dreams. Your dreams matter. They might not matter. Let me just say one more thing. Your dreams might not matter in the sense that every dream you have means something in real life. That's not it. For one thing, no one can interpret your dreams but you. I do not believe in dream interpretation. I believe that you might be talking to somebody and they might have an opinion about what your dream might be about, but at the same time, at the end of the day, only you can interpret your own dreams because it is a subjective experience that only you are experiencing. So that's the first thing. I'm not into buying books about dream interpretation and then flipping through and trying to find out, well, I dreamed of a butterfly. What does a butterfly mean to somebody else? What other people think doesn't fucking matter to me. What other people believe doesn't fucking matter either. So I'm very, very big on you interpreting your own experiences of the world, okay? And every dream that you have that's vivid doesn't necessarily mean something. It might, but most of the time it doesn't. But it is important to pay attention to your dreams because it is the window that gives you insight into what is going on in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind acts as a storage for all of the experiences that you have, both conscious and unconscious. Okay? So y'all have a great rest of the night. I got nothing but love for you. And I will be back tomorrow night for another hour-long or 90-minute session talking about, well, we'll figure out what we're going to talk about tomorrow. We only worry about one day at a time. All right? Much love, peace, and blessings. Stay blessed, y'all.